Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel, Homeopathic Super Sessions by Dr. Jagose. Today we'll be doing Robert's chapter 26, the second part of the syphilitic stigma. The tubercular patient will manifest the union of the syphilitic and the soric dyscrasia. So out here in the second part, Roberts will stress upon the tubercular miasm, which is a combination of the sora and the syphilitic miasm. Now, since the tubercular miasm contains a part of the syphilitic miasm, Robert is highlighting that point also. So he says the tubercular patient will manifest the union of the syphilitic and the soric dyscrasia. Oftentimes, we find the child who has inherited the stigmata combination has a tendency towards tuberculosis. So whenever you get a tubercular taint, that is the soric and the syphilitic miasm, they are more prone towards tuberculosis. The child presents the picture of the problem child in school, being slow of comprehension, dull, unable to keep a line of thought, he is unsocial, keeps to himself and becomes morose and sullen. So if the tubercular child is there, the mother will tell you that he's a problematic child. At school, he doesn't do well. The teacher always complains. He doesn't get good marks. He's unable to focus on his studies. He hardly has any friends in the school. And he always likes to keep to himself. He doesn't mix up with other people. And he's always sullen or morose. In order to meet the conditions of the problem child of school age, the homeopathic treatment is useful. So therefore, if you want to tackle this child, homeopathic line of treatment would be much appreciated or it would be much useful. The antisyphilitic and antisoric remedies, as they are indicated, which will help you alleviate the problems of the troubled child. So now, since this is a tubercular taint, you have to use the antisyphilitic and the antisoric remedies, which will help to solve the problems of the troubled child. This is the only treatment wherein the children will be able to develop normally and become useful and happy citizens. So this is the only, homeopathic is the only treatment in which the child can be brought back to its normal happy state. If we are lucky to observe the external manifestations of the syphilitic stigma, like an unusual discharge or the appearance of external manifestations, we are on the right track. So Robert says that you have to be a good observer and you have to see some external manifestations of the syphilitic stigma, like a discharge or any appearance of any external manifestation on the skin. This is because we will see an improvement in general and his mental state will seemingly become more normal. So why we have to observe that? Because if the external manifestations are seen, then we know you're on the right track. Thus, if a cata or leucorial discharge is established, if an old ulcer perhaps on the legs opens up and discharges, and as long as these avenues of escape are active, the patient will become more normal. So after giving the correct homeopathic medicine, if you get either a catarrhal or leucorial discharge, an old ulcer which opens up on the leg and discharges, so as long as these external manifestations are there and the discharges are continuous, it is more so that the child will become normal and that you're on the right track. It must be remembered that the natural eliminations do not ameliorate the patient. So in the syphilitic miasm, please remember the natural eliminations do not ameliorate the patient. Thus, sweating aggravates rather than ameliorates, and natural sweat, profuse urination, and diarrhea never ameliorate the syphilitic condition. So basically, any natural elimination from the body will not give relief to the syphilitic condition. An exception is that in the tubercular state, which is combination of the syphilitic and the soric miasm. So an exception is that of the tubercular state of the tubercular miasm, which is a combination of the soric and the syphilitic miasm. Here, general emulation of all soric manifestations are seen from the natural avenues of elimination. So in soric symptoms are there, then remember the soric miasm is there. All the soric miasm symptoms are better by natural elimination. In syphilitic miasm, they are not better by natural eliminations, but they are better by abnormal eliminations or pathological eliminations. Thus, in tubercular children, a hemorrhage from the nose will clear up the mental state for some time. And in tubercular adults, nose bleeds will clear up all neuralgias. The criminals and criminally insane are either psychotic or syphilitic in their stigmatic inheritance. So Robert says that those people who are criminally inclined, they are either psychotic or syphilitic in the miasmatic inheritance. Thus, many of the criminally insane and degenerates could be very gratefully benefited and probably cured by some of the antisyphilitic remedies. So Robert says that people who are criminally insane or criminals, they could be highly benefited by the use of the antisyphilitic remedies. Now let us take some symptoms of the syphilitic miasm pertaining to the different parts of the body. So let us see the head symptoms. Headache usually comes on in the night and almost always the back of the head. So as you all know, in the part 1 also I've told you that the syphilitic miasm is aggravated at night time. So headache usually comes on in the night and always at the back of the head. They will ache all night, get better in the morning, only to come again on at night. The headaches are dull, heavy, yet lancinating. They are persistently constant in the base of the brain or on one side. They are usually accompanied by a great deal of coldness of the body, sadness, and prostration. So an important concomitant, sadness and prostration will be there. Syphilitic headaches are usually aggravated by riding, by exertion, either mental or physical, by warmth or by heat, aggravated by quiet rest, by lying down at night, and by steam. And they are better by cold applications, by nosebleed, and by motion. Remember, the moderate syphilitic miasm are exactly opposite to that of the psoriatic miasm. So please remember that the syphilitic miasm modalities are exactly opposite that of the psoriatic miasm. Oftentimes, the syphilitic patient complains of a band around the head, which is probably due to a slight effusion from the meningeal surfaces. A child with the syphilitic miasm will roll the head from side to side. So if the inflammation of the meninges occur, then the syphilitic miasm is present and the child will hold the head from side to side. Some people complain that before these headaches, they experience a ravenous hunger. These manifestations are a combination of syphilis and psora, or the tubercular miasm. Without the antipsoric remedy, these headaches are not easily amenable to treatment. So if you want to treat the headache properly, you have to give antisyphilitic remedies. Vertigo, the syphilitic stigma shows many types of vertigo, but especially those at the base of the brain. CVS, or the cardiovascular system, the system of high blood pressure is caused from the structural point of view by a thickening of the arterial cords and is an expression of the actual change of structure in the arterial system. So high blood pressure because of the thickening of the tunica intima. Change of structure does not occur in uncomplicated psora. It takes place when the psoric dyscrasia is combined with the syphilitic. So structural changes will not take place until and unless it is complicated with the psoric dyscrasia of the psoric miasm. So uncomplicated psora, there are no structural changes, but when the syphilitic miasm is in conjunction with the psoric miasm, then definitely structural changes will occur. The structural changes do take place when we expression of the combination of the two stigmata. So the two combinations must be present, the psoric miasm and the syphilitic miasm, then only the structural changes will occur. Appearance of the patient. The appearance of the people suffering from syphilitic stigmata are very easy to identify. The head is large and bulging. The hair is moist, gluey, greasy, with an offensive odor. Hair falls out in bunches, beginning first on the vertex and then on the temples. So there's a large head, there is a bulging of the forehead also, and the hair is matted with falling of the hair. The hair on the eyebrows and eyelashes fall, and the hair in the beard also falls. So falling of the hair from the vertex, from the eyebrows, from the eyelashes, as well as from the beard region. The hair in the eyelashes break and turn inward, causing much irritation in the conjunctiva. So the hairs in the eyelashes, they break and they turn inwards. So entropion is there, and which causes much irritation in the conjunctiva. They have enlarged heads, the sutures are soft, the frontal remains open after the normal time of closing. So there's a delayed closing of the frontanelles with enlarged heads. There's a general hydrocephalic appearance of the head. So the head appears large as compared to the body, like a general hydrocephalic appearance. Patient develops very large ears. The lobes of the ears are pale, white, and transparent, and the face has a grayish, greasy look. So this is how the patient will look. Now the scalp symptoms. The scalp is moist in general, perspiration on the scalp, hair becomes wet, and especially when they are asleep or when they are awake. So mark perspiration on this scalp, especially when sleeping or also when they are awake. Eruptions on the scalp are almost always moist with thick yellow crust from under which thick yellow pus oozes out. So they are scalp eruptions, they are moist eruptions, they are wet eruptions, and thick yellow crust is there. And if you put pressure on the eruptions, you'll get a thick yellow pus, which oozes out. Ear symptoms. Eczema about and behind the ears having thick faded pus, cracks about the ears and the oral canal are a grafting of syphilitic stigma onto the soric. So if you get cracks, they are nothing but the grafting of the syphilitic stigma onto the storic miasm. In tubercular patients, the eruption on the scalp are aggravated by bathing. In tubercular infant children, you will find structural changes in the ear. Everything that attacks them, such as colds or sore throat, or any of the so-called acute diseases, it shows a relationship to the stigmatic combination by suppression of the ears. So, in the tubercular child or when the tubercular miasm is there, combination of sora and syphilitic, you will find structural changes in the ears. It is because of the stigmatic combination. The suppression, no matter how painful it may be, is a safety valve of the child's life. So any discharge is good. You know that you're on the right track, and it is a safety valve of the child's life. In all of these ear manifestations, the tendency to night aggravation is very marked. They will be all right during the day, but from sundown to sunset, from sundown to sunup, the characteristic aggravation shows itself. So as I told you, from sunset to sunrise or night aggravation will be there. In short, the patient is markedly aggravated at night time or from sunset to sunrise. In every eruptive disease, there is an accompaniment of middle ear trouble in these children. They will continue this process until the antisoric and antisyphilitic remedies have done their work beneficially. So this discharge will go on coming out until and unless you give the antisoric followed by the antisyphilitic remedies. Very often in these stigmatic complications of ear, there is more or less discharge. And so long as discharge from the ear continues, the patient improves in general health. So please remember that when the poison is thrown out into the form of an eruption or a discharge, you know that you're on the right track and the health will improve. Do not suppress this. Sometimes the discharge from the ear will continue for years and the health will remain fairly good. So sometimes also the discharge may continue for years, but the health of the child remains good. However, if the discharge is suppressed, the patient health suffers greatly. But however, if you suppress the discharge, then the patient will go downhill and the patient's health will suffer. So that's all. The part 3 will be coming up soon. Please give a thumbs up if you like the video. And also please mention your comments if you have any. Thank you so much.